You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we're ready for another week. I know I'm in Crowley because I can hear the train blowing in the background. You must hear that all the time.
It feels like 15 times a day.
Easily. It seems like the more I'm in a hurry, the more likely there is a train. And more likely is just a stop. Anyway, I'm just ranting already. It's not even 1 minute into the show and I'm already getting my yeah. Anyway, I have Elizabeth Becker here from Crowley House of Hope. We're going to talk about what they got going on in this coming months and that, what their needs are and just how they're doing. I mean, it's a good thing. And see if they survive the holidays.
We did.
It's like we need a vacation from the holidays. You ever notice that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, when you have little kids like we used to have, it's even more so. But anyway, we're going to talk about that. And also at the end of the show, I'm going to do a commercial, Taylor has it all made. It looks wonderful. It looks great. It's talking about the new radio station. And actually, I thought it was going to be on next Friday, or Monday rather. It's already up and running. The guys at Live 365 got it all together much quicker than I thought. So it's now up and running. We'll talk about that at the end. So in 30 seconds or less, Elizabeth, how is House of Hope before I get to the ads anyway?
Sure thing. Yeah, we're great. We are back up and running at full speed with all of our services after the holidays. So full financial assistance, food assistance, medical clinic, clothing services are back up and working. It has been a busy couple of weeks, and we're glad to be back in the swing of things.
Well, that's good because y'all do really good work. And I was here Friday for one of Jonathan Cook's little afterglow parties. You ever been to one of those?
No, I've heard of them. But
you had to go.
I should.
It's a different than my B&I group, and I like my B&I group very well. And it's a little different though. This afterglow, and if it's worth going to if you just need infusion of enthusiasm kind of thing. And I get that from B&I as well, but it's more overt at the afterglow. But I'm very fortunate to have the people in my life that I do to help me, encourage me to do the things I'm doing, like this goofy radio station idea. Robin,
we all need that sort of extra support and network.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope. Let's talk about the sponsors because they make this all possible. All right. Thank you, Otto, of course, over at our place. It's always open, it seems like. Well, I'd say that's not true. This ain't Waffle House. He actually is very generous with time off with his employees at holiday time, which I always find to be good. I mean, not every place does that.
Right.
And he takes care of his people really well. And I could tell because when I go to our place, I see a lot of the same staff. And you don't see that in a lot of restaurants. Turnover in restaurants is pretty high. And he seems to have a pretty stable crew. And the food's great, of course, and so that really helps. And same with Gina's. I really do enjoy Gina's. I enjoy the music. I enjoy the background, the ambiance, as they say. Gina's has really good food, the whole thing. So I really enjoy them. You got to bring Mr. Becker there sometime.
Yeah, we should.
Are y'all pizza-eating people?
Well, we enjoy pizza. We enjoy cooking pizza. So.
Yeah, we do that sometimes too. Sorry, Otto.
A little competition.
Yeah, well.
Probably not the same.
No, it's different. It is different, and it really is nice. Also, thank you to our friends over at Wild Cigar. I'll be seeing them later this week for a little customer care, so to speak. They are really good people. It's a good atmosphere to go to as well because it you can go there and think, you can talk without a lot of hassle, and it's a big deal. And they also got a big thing planned for the Super Bowl and all that. They do stuff around football games. Did you bother watching the games yesterday? Are you a big football fan?
Well, we like football at home. We caught the Chiefs and the Bills last night. But
I was wanting the Bills to win. I know that's heresy.
That's not a part of the script, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's true. They do get the refs on their side, don't they?
They
and
do.
You look at Patrick Mahomes with the side eye, and there's 15 yards. But next year is the Cowboys' year. This new coach, whatever his name is going to do great.
Yes.
You don't believe that, do you?
Right. We'll see.
We'll see.
Right.
All right. Anyway, and thank you also to our friends over at Old Pro. John Williams is out there right now, no doubt, 817-734-2756. And he's, going to check your roof. Supposedly we're going to have really heavy rain starting Tuesday night to about Thursday morning, right?
That's what I saw.
I don't know if he can fit you in now. He probably could, because he works a lot. But if you need to get your roof inspected, because, it's a bad time to find out that you have a leak when you have a leak.
Right.
And it's amazing. You look at your roof, you eyeball it and you think, it looks okay. But the way the water could find its way through all the little cracks and crevices, we had a problem a few years ago, not that long ago, but it wasn't recent. And we thought our roof was fine. And the guy said, yeah, your roof's fine, but there's a small space between the roof and the chimney the water's leaking through. And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And so you need to have all that checked out. So again, call them at 817-734-2756. And our friend over at the Weathington Agency, Jeff Kelly. Jeff Kelly can be reached at 817-781-0546 or Jeff at jeffkelly.com. JeffKellyRealty.com. Say it right. Okay, Jeff at JeffKellyRealty.com. He'll be on the show in about 3 weeks, and we're going to talk about real estate, the rates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Burleson's still growing. Crowley's growing. That new division, right? Was that Karis? That's
it's pretty amazing.
It is. It's a big deal for Crowley. I mean, Crowley's not as big as Burleson, and it's a very, very nice. I still don't. There's a big building going on up there. I mean, it looks like a school. Is there a school going on?
There is. There's a Montessori school.
Montessori school. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the whole thing, and it's very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so call Jeff though. He'll sell you a home there too. I mean, he's all over the place. He's not just for Burleson; he's for this whole region. So give him a holler. Also, our friends over at Hotworks with Michelle Humphrey. She was on the show about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, and she's really into fitness. And she has a place there that you can get a good fitness workout without all the stress and strain. It's got 11 different workouts. It's all with infrared, and it maximizes the workout. You don't get the body strain that you do with heavy lifting. And it's not meant for bodybuilding. It's meant for getting better in shape and take care of your health and maybe being more flexible and things like that. They got yoga and they got Pilates and all that. So give her a holler over at Hotworks. It's over on John Jones at the Burleson Commons. It's an interesting place. I mean, it's a secure place. So if you're looking for a place to work out without being worried about who's going to walk in the door, they got a really good secure system there. And our friend Tiffany over at Local Life, you'll get your magazine next week. I'm not quite sure who's on the cover yet. Usually I find out about the week prior. So we'll find out like everybody else. And it goes to 30,000 homes. And a lot of businesses get extra copies. So while you're waiting on your car to get fixed or waiting for your table or whatever you're doing, you can peruse through that. So it gets a lot of looks, no more than just the mail outs. And she does a really good job. It's a very well produced ad magazine. Anybody else coming up? Oh, yes, our friend Cody O'Brien at Burleson Buzz. I'll be using a lot of his material with his permission on the radio. A lot of the local news. He's a good source for local news and information, and he's good at for those that are subscribers. It's good for finding what's going on in city council or other local business as well. He wants to make this kind of like a online version of a newspaper, I suppose, and he does a good job with that. It is hard to have local contacts. That's the whole point of the radio station. But again, we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about y'all.
Well, let's talk about how we finished up in 2024, because I think these numbers
I was going to ask you about December, but you want to talk about the whole year. That's fine too.
I do. Yeah,
so
I think the numbers are pretty impressive.
Yes, they are.
And I think it's a good snapshot of what's going on in this arena. And I think probably our friends in Burleson have seen similar numbers, if not higher in some areas.
I know the folks at Promises and at Harvest House said they broke records last year.
Yeah. We're still working on crunching the final, year after year kind of information. But Crowley House of Hope in 2024, so over the full 12 months of the year, provided 9,984 food services. And so that is a in the nonprofit world, folks will ask, well, is that a duplicated number or is that and it is a duplicated number.
Sure.
So that means families can come once a month at our facility. And some families choose to come, every month, some 2 or 3 months out of the year. It just depends on what their particular needs are. But in total, 9,984 visits to our food pantry last year.
That's really the important number, is the total amount, not so much, okay, this person came 3 times, this person came 5 times, this one only came once. That's all, I guess, for y'all, that's information y'all could use, but really the bottom line is to the communities, how many times were people served?
That's right. That's right. Within those visits, 9,984 visits, 42,000 individuals were served. And again, that's a duplicated number, meaning, family A has 5 members and family B has 12 members, and family A came 6 times and family B came once. So it just, it fluctuates, but month over month. But 42,000 people received food assistance across the year at Crowley House of Hope. It's a mind-boggling number to really think about.
Well, particularly Crowley is about, what, a third of the size of Burleson?
Yeah.
And about a fifth of the size of Mansfield?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you're not like itty-bitty, but you are smaller. And so that's a pretty healthy percentage there.
It is. We had almost 1,300 new families register for our food assistance services last year. So almost little over 100 families a month.
New families, you said?
New families.
Good heavens.
New families accessing food assistance services. So that, I think, is also telling about where people are and how things are in our community, to have that number be so high for outreach to new families. We provided, we operate a monthly senior share program at Crowley House of Hope. It's always on the first Tuesday of the month. We are the host site. It's a federal program. Senior adults in the United States suffer with food insecurity at a pretty high rate. There's lots of factors about that, but Crowley House of Hope participates in that program as a site location for that Senior Shares Mobile Pantry. And last year we provided food to 836 food services last year. We are a partner agency of Tarrant Area Food Bank, and they have a 13-county service region. We were told last year, probably about October, by their staff, that Crowley House of Hope has the largest senior share mobile pantry program in its 13-county service region. Right. Good
heavens.
Yeah. So we're seeing between 70 and 80 senior adult households monthly.
That's one thing I've noticed. I've been in your place, and I've been in Promises many times. I've been in Harvest House. And people get in this mindset that it's like poor Hispanic families that don't speak English or some other stereotype. And you walk in there and they're all across the board. I mean, it's like a cross-section of humanity, so to speak. I know at the Promises, I was struck how many were elderly. And
I actually think that's probably an issue we're not talking about enough in our community is food security among our older adults. These are folks who are, by and large, unable to really affect their economic future, right? They're relying on those Social Security benefits. The vast majority that visit us have no pension or 401k. I mean, these are families just living on their Social Security benefit. They get very small amounts in food stamp assistance, and many of them are raising grandchildren or have extended family under their roofs. And if they are still paying rent and just trying to do that on a Social Security benefit, I'm highly concerned for these households, in a matter of years. I think they will, it will be a real challenge.
Well, you're right, because, I'm not going to get too political on the show, but, Mr. Trump is making a lot of, shall we say, high-profile executive decisions and policy decisions. And, I'm not unhappy that Mr. Biden's no longer president, but that doesn't mean I'm going to just say yes to everything Mr. Trump says. And one of the things I am concerned about is that support for the elderly may not be as robust, shall we say, as we need it to be.
Right.
And so, that's something that I think even people who voted and supported Mr. Trump need to hold him accountable to, and to view objectively is the best way to put it, instead of just saying, well, Trump did it, it's okay. Because if it has bad effect, then we need to make our voices heard about that. And one of the things I am concerned about is what we're just talking about, is that why is it in this country we have so many elderly that are, with all the social services we have, we still have so many of the elderly that are just week to week, seems like.
Right.
We got to do better than that.
Yeah. I think it's right. They're modest increases in their Social Security benefits that, and prices are going to go up. Things are going to change in the market, and we're all going to feel those shifts. But these, our older neighbors really don't have the ability to withstand them as easily as some of the other folks do. And so that it is a real concern. I also am highly concerned about sort of the generation after them, people, sort of in my age category.
Well,
who
we're
are
the
just,
same age. I'm older than you are. So
who are
I'm right
living
there.
off of, just Social Security benefits, right? As medical technology in that world continues to do well and we all live longer, how in 10 or 15 years is somebody going to live off of $950 or $960 a month? I think these are things that we need to be talking about, but most especially our older adults. I mean, we're talking folks who are 60 years of age and older. We regularly, a lot of our financial assistance dollars go to older people who just can't pay the electric bill through no fault of their own. They just can't pay that bill. And it's concerning.
It is. And you read about things about people who are foregoing medication because of the expense and
or food.
Or they're,
right.
Or they're, basically don't have transportation. And the thing about it is, some people say, well, compared to the rest of the world, we were doing really well. Well, so what? We don't care what the rest of the world, in a sense. We want to do better on our own. The fact that other countries are struggling harder than ours or having more difficulties, no comfort, that we have people struggling here. And so I have concerns about some of the things I've been reading and hearing about. My son and I discussed this yesterday about he was concerned about my situation because they're talking about, making adjustments to Medicare drug programs and stuff like that. And I don't know all the details like he does, but the idea that a new administration's come in and the problems will be solved just like that isn't going to happen.
Right.
Even if they have the right ideas and go about it the right way, and those are big ifs. But even if that all is true, it's still going to take time.
Right. We didn't get here overnight.
No.
We're not going to fix it overnight.
No.
Right.
But right now we do what we can, right?
That's right.
And one thing I'm kind of rambling all over the place. One thing I really, really like about your place is that health clinic, because my friends over at the Caring Physicians Clinic, they're swamped.
Yeah.
They could be open 24/7.
Right.
And we're not talking about, these aren't Medicaid patients. These are, it's designed for people that work but don't have insurance. And we thought, people thought, well, the Obamacare plan would take care of all of that. Well, no, it doesn't. There's still a lot of people that don't qualify for insurance because if they work for a big box big retail company, that's what I meant to say, big box retail outfit, they're not working enough hours to qualify.
Right. Or the plans they have access to have such high deductibles or high copays that they can't afford. It takes so long to get to that point where actually the insurance is going to pay something, or they don't have the means to pay those high copays to just get in to see the doctor. So we actually see folks in our clinic in that situation, right? They have access to employer-based health insurance. It's just they can't access it at their income level.
When I was with the school with the BHS, I was adequately paid salary. All right, I don't know complaints about that, but the insurance wasn't very good, and every teacher across the state could say that same thing. It wasn't so much that the coverage is poor; it was just so expensive. And I talked to a school board member, and they would, say, "We're doing what we can because it was so expensive for the district just to provide the subsidy that they were throwing into it.
Right.
So it was like a no-win situation there.
Yeah. And medical debt and medical, bankruptcy is a real issue in this country as well. I mean, obviously we're not going to solve that here today, but we do what we can in our medical clinic to try and alleviate some of those concerns for people.
And I really think, I just wish we had more like that. I mean, I wish we had more clinics like yours and more like the caring physicians over on Haskew and Burleson. I talk to other of your colleagues, and they all say the same thing. We wish. I bet that's a common phrase. We wish.
It is. It is.
Well, it's not Jennifer anymore at Harvest House.
Right.
It's Amber now,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And she'll be on about a month. And she was on before.
Yeah.
And she has a very interesting story. Have you met her yet?
I have met Amber. Yeah.
And I talked to the folks at Next Step, and I talked to folks at Promises, and they're like, "We wish," is the operative phrase.
We over the course of the end of the year last year, we always spend some time reflecting, about that, right? In the nonprofit world, it's sometimes you feel sort of the push and pressure for the new or the shiny or the, we're not growing if we're not adding programs. And it struck me that that's, while yes, new programs are great, and if it's within your mission to do those and your wherewithal to do them, that's awesome. But sometimes it's about doing what we are doing the very best we can do it. We're at Crowley House of Hope. We're kind of right where we need to be. We are very comfortable with that. And so our goals this year are around just continuing to be hope and to provide dignity and resources to folks in this community, and do it in such a way that that it's just a top-notch service. Maybe one day there'll be something there that's that we can grow into. But right now, our community needs a food pantry, it needs a free medical clinic, it needs financial assistance, and so we're going to keep on keeping on in those programs.
Well, you can't help but want to expand because you see so many need, right?
Right.
You see these people say, "Gosh, I wish we could do more."
That's right.
I wish we had like a free mechanical service for their cars and that kind of stuff, or some other kind of assistance program. But you can only do what you can do.
That's right.
And
that's okay. Right?
Limitations of space, money, and people. I mean, that's
right. We will continue to do that.
Well, I look at y'all's types of organizations as almost like the fish and loaves story, that you take what you can and it's multiplied, many, many times over.
We live that daily in the food pantry.
Right. Is it some days you come in there and you say, "Lord, if we don't get some food today, we're going to have to turn people away," and then sometimes it just comes right out of nowhere, right?
It just comes right out of nowhere, right? We, just with the volume of services in the short couple of weeks we've been open, we've had those conversations. What about tomorrow? And it's like, let's just hold tight. We're doing what we're supposed to do, and things will work out. And they have. We're open on the third Saturday of the month. That's a long week for us. That third week every month, we're open 6 times. The pantry's open 6 times, and so. Toward the end of that week, it can get a little tight, and it was, but folks left with enough, and everybody's always so gracious and thankful for what they do have access to.
Right. I guess one of the hardest things for me, if I were working day after day like you do and others do, is that do you ever feel like you're just putting out the fire with a squirt gun kind of thing? That there's so much need out there, and this will get them through the week, but it's not going to get them through the month. And that they're going to be scrambling at the end of every month. There's going to be more month than food or more month than money. I mean, I'm familiar with that phrase, more month than money, but it's like, but I know I'm going to get paid soon, so I don't fret about it. Whereas some people, it's like, I'm sure they wake up thinking, if something doesn't happen in the next 48 hours, we're going to have a real problem. And you deal with that.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously we have some ability to calm that fear in folks, whether it's an extra visit to the pantry or, sometimes it's just a conversation. I think sometimes when you're in crisis, you forget about your own ability to solve your problems, right? And when we're having these conversations with families, we can soon help them kind of redirect their attention to what do I have available in my tool belt. And a lot of folks actually have some resources to them that they've just, forgotten about or didn't think might be an option, or they just needed a little encouragement. And so we find that to be a real valuable conversation with families. But there's times where we walk away and know that, we're going to see these families again in a month and things aren't going to be much different. But we're there for them, and they know we are a source of comfort and provide them some peace and some stress relief. And so that's the role we play in their lives, and we're glad that they allow us to do that.
Y'all offer, besides financial assistance, financial counseling, because I bet a lot of these people are living on credit. They probably have credit cards that are stretched to the max. We don't see too much of that. Sometimes in our older, really, you don't see a lot of credit debt problems.
No, most of these folks don't. They just don't qualify for credit cards, or when your income is $900 a month, you're going to be hard pressed to find a credit card company to.
Well, there's always some, but the interest is incredible.
The interest is incredible, right?
Well, look, I know over Promises, I don't know how often they do it, but they've tried to have like classes of sorts to help people, navigate through some of this. But, when you're desperate, it's like, okay, I need gas to get to the job. I don't have any money in my pocket, but I do have a credit card, even if it's near the max. And so you fill your tank up as best you can and hope for another miracle.
Right.
And I guess that's the thing that strikes me about a lot of your clients and clients of other places like that, is that I am the sort of person that likes to have things planned out in advance and I have a fairly good idea what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to do it. And, like when I was putting a station together, I had a schedule and all this. I can't live day to day like that. But a lot of your people do, don't they?
Right. I think it is sort of the crisis lifestyle, right? And the more we can help people break out of that, and it is a shift, and it's a huge shift for some of them. That it's what they know, it's what they grew up with, and it's their daily experience. But yes, the more we can get people to shift out of that way of thinking, the better off they are. And so that is part of, especially in the financial assistance part of our work, is having those hard conversations with families. That children are going to be out of school for, the summer months. You're going to have maybe some extra childcare expenses, or obviously food expenses and things like that. What are you doing today to plan for that? And that it's, at times you see people and they kind of, it's almost like a foreign concept to be thinking that far in advance. And most of them will tell you, I can't figure out today. How in the world am I supposed to figure out 3 or 4 months from now? And I'm like, let's start. Let's just start.
Right. And, and there's another aspect to all this crisis management is the physical and psychological toll it takes on people.
It does.
It really is a physical stressor to worry a lot about how you're going to take care of the next day. And, I've been through that. We've all been through that. We've had times where, we're concerned about something greatly, and you almost feel the physical impact of it. But your people, that's their normal physical state, isn't it? Right,
it is. And I think it wears on them, and you can see it on them, right? You see them carry that stress, and it's those are hard conversations. We see, a lot of people break down because they know, they're, and we always couch it in we want so much more for you, right? We know you can do so much more. You're a smart person. You're a resourceful person. It's hard to live this life, right? So how can we shift that to where it's a positive? You're living in a positive space.
Do a lot of your clients carry a big load of guilt, which is also a physical stressor?
Yeah, I think there are some that do. yeah,
They feel guilty that they're not providing as well as they should.
they should.
I,
Right.
I can imagine the men in your
Right.
world there have that issue because, it's the man's job to provide.
Yes.
And to be honest, I understand that. If I were in the same situation that I needed to go to your place, I'd have to be talked into it because, that's just not something men do as easily. Usually a mother with the children is more probably, I would guess, more likely to come to your place than say a man.
Right.
But I'm sure you have men, but
We do.
yeah, but I'm just saying, for a lot of men, they say, no, I'm not going to take charity or something like that. And
You do see a response in the men that it is a deep humbling for them, and I think probably some men probably question their masculinity and those kinds of things, but we have men serving, especially in our food pantry, and those men often are a great source of support. Just their sort of non-judgmental way of connecting with men who access the food assistance program on behalf of their families. And so we're very thankful to have those men volunteering because I think it does help in that situation.
Well, we have a couple of men in my Sunday school class that work at Promises, and a couple of ladies as well. And they encounter this kind of reluctance on the men's part to admit that they need to actually ask for help.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I mean, even when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I was reluctant to ask my parents for help because I thought, I'm out of college, I have a job, I need to be able to do things on my own. And but fortunately, I had a family to help support me. Not a lot of these people have a lot of family. Do you find a lot of people that are not from this area that are kind of like they've landed here because of whatever their circumstances are, and they don't have a support system, family, friends, church, whatever. They're really pretty much on their own.
We do. Yeah. Whatever reason brought them to Texas. They're without extended family or extended family so far away, even in the state. But yeah, I think just to go back to the scenario with the men, what we are seeing in the pantry is these are men who are working, right? And I think that is especially difficult. It's one thing to be unemployed or haven't had experience to lay off for some reason. But when you're still working and you're struggling, I think that is sort of an added burden to especially the men who come through the pantry.
It is, and I sometimes I put myself in their place. Would I be willing to come to a pantry and ask for help? And I like to think that if my family was involved, I'd put my ego aside or my pride aside or whatever. I can't guarantee that because, I was brought up in a family that's, you take care of business, you go to work, you show up, you pay attention, whatever, you do the things you need to do. And you probably have a lot of people that do that and circumstances of life put them there. It isn't the idea that these people are there because of, I don't know, some flaw in their personality or the work ethic or character. Things happen to people that have done the right thing all their life.
It sure does.
And that's got to be hard to take.
Yeah.
If I were, I had thrown all my money away on gambling and alcohol and I lived a kind of lifestyle that's poor like that, well, that's one thing. But, a lot of your customers, your clients, I guess is a better word, did all the things that we as a society want them to do to make a good life for themselves. And then a medical catastrophe happens or a car accident happens or the job situation falls through, it gets laid off, and it's hard to find another comparable job, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset, and I appreciate what you and Debbie over at Promises and now Amber at Harvest House do, is they don't judge the people. So, well, you're here because you did something that you deserve to be here. You did something wrong. Right. You make them feel like, hey, this is life. It ain't fair. It's hard. This happened to you. Let's get you back on your feet.
Yeah. Yeah. The vast majority of the families accessing our programs at least one income households, some of them two income households. They're working jobs that don't, that are considered low wage. Oftentimes the response is, well, why don't they get a better job? And it's like, well, do you know what kind of time it takes to work on changing jobs?
And it's not like you can go from like a retail
Right.
store to be a bank vice president,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's I always encourage folks, we have to challenge our assumptions on everything, right, in life. And so come for a tour, give me a call. Let's talk about these things. They're fair questions. And Crowley House of Hope is a safe place to explore those answers. And to get a firsthand look at what we do, who we're serving. Yes, we are serving some folks that probably do need to make a different decision down the road, or today, right now. But we're with those people, every step of the way, and so let's talk about it.
Well, it's difficult to change careers just like that.
Yeah.
I did it when I was much younger. I was in the business world until I was 24. First couple of years out of college, and then I quit my job to become a school teacher. And back then it was a lot harder to do that. So for 2 years I lived like a bum, basically. But I had a safety net. My parents weren't paying my bills, but I knew if push came to shove, where I could go. I mean, I was working at a grocery store and I was paying the bills and whatever, but I had that security blanket, so to speak, that if something happened, a catastrophe to the car or whatever, I knew where I could go. Plus, at Christmas time, they were very generous in a sense. Like they'd say, well, how much are your books next semester? I don't know, about $600. Well, Merry Christmas. Well, not everybody has that kind of system.
Right.
And I think the idea is, well, if they don't like how much money they're making, they need to change their situation. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
It was easier for me because I didn't have a wife then. I just started dating Robin, and I had no kids, thankfully. So I could do it as a single man, as opposed to somebody like, somebody in their 40s, you can't, with the kids, you can say, well, I'm going to change my lifestyle and career. It didn't work that way.
Right.
Very often anyway.
Right. It doesn't. And giving folks some grace in these situations is important. So.
Do y'all offer job advice? I mean, I know you're not a placement center, but do you offer like, okay, here's how you put together a decent resume, or at least some sort of job listing, or do you also like, here's how you conduct yourself in an interview and things of that nature? We
don't, but there are entities in the community that do. So we often refer folks to Workforce Solutions. They have great classes. Their services are free. They can help you build a resume. All of those interviewing skills, if you need to brush up on those. Some of their programs even allow you to bring your child. They'll do some child care for you while you're working on those things. So, if you are in the situation where you need to, or are interested in looking at doing something different, Workforce Solutions might be a good option for some of that.
Well, again, I'm going to get a little political here. A lot of people think, well, back in the day, we didn't have all this. No, we had a lot of starving people. A lot of times, 50 years ago, we had people that they didn't make it, and so, we spend billions of dollars on public money, state and national and local sometimes, in these kind of support systems. But my response is, if you cut that or took that away, it's not like the problem is going to go away.
No.
Some people think it exacerbates the problem, some makes it worse. Because of my contacts with you and the other outfits, I don't believe that anymore, if I ever did, because I see who's going there, and these aren't indigent bums or people that are like, I'm too lazy to work. I'll just go grab some groceries at this place and go back and play Nintendo. Yeah, there's some people like that, and people in politics will point to this guy as the example for all the others. But that's not been my experience, and it's not yours either, I'd imagine.
And let's have the conversation about if somebody's hungry, if a child is hungry, learning is not successful, right, in the classroom. If mom or dad are struggling to put food on the table, if they're hungry, they can't focus on anything other than that. It is really difficult when your basic needs of food, safe shelter, and clothing, warmth or cool from the weather, when those things are lacking, it's really hard to concentrate on doing, something outside of that, taking care of those needs. We are, by humans, as humans, driven by those things. I kind of joke, sometimes my husband gets a little hangry, it's like he's
hangry.
Right.
I'm familiar with that.
It's like, dinner's 30 minutes late and it's like, well, wait a minute, we have dinner. It's coming, right?
So if your husband kind of gets an attitude, you say, well, come by the store and then come bellyache at me about it. You're going to see some people that really are hangry.
Right.
Well,
Right.
when I was in the school system, some people, not many, but a handful would make snide comments about the free lunch programs, about how it's being abused. I'm like, shut up. I didn't even have an argument with them because it's like, no, you don't understand. If they're not getting fed at home, they're not going to learn a thing in my classroom. And even if they have the wherewithal, so what? I mean, they were feeding kids. I mean, that's not a big deal either. And they say, well, all the money. Well, you know who's really profiting from the food programs that are the big food producers. Okay, so let's not kid ourselves. But the point is that people are getting fed, and if you get in a position, well, this kid deserves to be fed, but this one doesn't. That's a terrible take on the situation. Yeah. It's a horrific take.
And kids are hungry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're hungry all the time.
Well,
but if we don't care for if we're not helping them meet their most basic needs of food and electricity or water or a roof over their head, then it's really hard to have a conversation with somebody about you need to be working more hours or you need a better job. So our role in this in this hierarchy of things people ought to be doing is to help them meet their most basic needs so that hopefully they can focus on working out some of the other details of life that help them get to a better place.
Right. And it's hard because sometimes when you're flat on your back, it's hard to get back up, isn't it? It is. Because you just get to the point like, I can't do this again, But anyway, I what I appreciate about doing this show is people like yourself and others who sat across that table from me and told me about what they're dealing with. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that every day, and not just take it home with me, emotionally, so to speak. And I just feel fortunate and blessed we live in this area that these things are being done by people like yourself. It's just it's amazing to me because I know, it's a job and all that, but then you get a biweekly or monthly check or whatever, but I bet there are other ways to make money, right? that are less satisfactory.
Yeah. People that come up, and I always say, this is my vocation.
Right. I know. It's a job.
This is why.
But you're not doing it as a job. You're doing it because you love it and because you know that you're making a difference.
Yeah. And I'm called to.
Mm-hmm. You're called to.
I'm called to do this.
Really? Did you know that call back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
How did that call manifest itself? I'm always interested because I talk to people like involved in was it something when you were a younger person, like a teenager, said, I want to help poor people? Or is it like it came upon you like an epiphany?
Yeah. I think it was the way I was raised. I think I was brought up by people who served. And so it was always a part of our lives. And in different types of service, not the kind of service I provide, but, my mom was a nurse. My dad was a diesel mechanic. These were people who shared their talents and skills with others. And there was just that mentality of we serve. And so I can look across, my siblings' lives and we're all in areas of service and it's different for each of us, but at the core, that's what it is. And so I think it's just the way I was brought up. I never saw myself doing anything other than that.
So when you became an adult and you were actually making your own decision, you said, I want to serve as opposed to just make a living.
Right.
And so
I never gravitated toward anything that was outside of service. It was never.
Well, that's your blessing. It really is. It's a blessing to us. Yeah. It's kind of like how I became a school teacher. It just hit me. Yeah. See, mine wasn't something like all my life I wanted to be a school teacher. I mean, I enjoyed academics and what reading and whatnot as a kid, but I never thought about making a living from it until it just kind of hit me that I need to be teaching school. And so my experience is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, because it really was August 8th, 1986. I could tell you the date even.
Wow.
And, well, it's a long conversation, but but that's just, I'm always amazed at y'all, people like yourself, because I don't know, you may not always get positive feedback. You may not always get that, pat on the back and all that. And it's, you have to get up and do the same thing tomorrow and deal with this. But that's how God's kingdom is built, isn't it?
It is. And that's, I can't explain it. Well, I think I can explain it, but, there is that energy to keep going. And that sort of, well that is replenished, it's just, it's miraculous, right?
Well, but it's, when people ask me, why'd you become a school teacher? I mean, I can give them some sort of answer that I practiced, but the bottom line is I really can't tell you. I can't articulate it. And it's what I've noticed with a lot of people in your industry, so to speak, is they just know this is what they need to be doing. They can't articulate it. It isn't like a prepared speech. Well, I did this because it's like, I almost like I have no other choice. This is just what I'm here for.
There's a piece about it. I think I always describe it that way to folks. It's like, I think if I was doing something else, I wouldn't have this peace in my life. And there's peace here. Not to say it isn't stressful at times, or that there isn't worry or concern or
peace is not the same thing as an easy road.
It is not.
It's just understanding that this is where you're supposed to be. And that's what I always felt about school. Yeah. Is that it's where I'm supposed to be. And today did not go well. But that doesn't mean I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Exactly. And that kind of thing. And so, anyway, I as I gotten older, I've gotten more appreciative of the way I was raised. I never lacked for anything growing up. I mean, we didn't get everything we wanted, but we got everything we needed. And that's a big difference, right? And as I got older, my dad's career progressed. We get to a place where I never worried about where my next meal's coming from, but I always knew that we were still going to be living in an attitude of gratitude, as they say, and a remembrance. Both my parents grew up not poor, but working class. Sure. All right. They didn't have a lot of money, and even when we started having some financial wherewithal, we still ate cornbread and beans. And we still, we didn't have steak except on a very special occasion. We lived humbly. And, and even when we acquired some nicer things, we never took it for granted. So anyway, I'm just rambling about myself.
That's all right.
That's okay.
But that's part of it. And folks, hopefully everybody can get to that place in their life. I'd be paying you to have this. I'm having therapy here. So,
well, anyway, before we go, what do y'all need right now?
Right. Yeah. We need food in the pantry. We did so well at the end of the year, the last quarter or so. Folks are so generous over the holidays, but that food is gone. We have depleted those resources and that back stock. So as you're out there and you're at the grocery store, you see something, any of those things that you purchase for your family are the same things we like to have available in the pantry. So just picking up a few extra items, dropping them by is a huge help.
The attitude that sometimes people get, it's like, I'm bringing a bag of groceries, and they see it, it's going to be gone like that, and I think, I don't even know if I made a difference. Oh, Lord, have you made a difference? You never know.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, if everybody has that attitude, then we're going to have a real problem.
Right.
Just because you can't back the truck up doesn't mean your sack of, handful of items is useless. I can't, that's not the attitude. It's like, not. Whatever you can do, even if it's like $20 worth of bag of rice or whatever, somebody somewhere is going to benefit, and that's the answer. That's that's what it is. I sure when I go to some of these places, I'm like, gosh, I wish I could just bring in a box truck and swamp them with food and all this other stuff. But I don't have that kind of money, and most people I know don't. Sure. I don't know anybody has that kind of money. But it doesn't mean my bag of groceries is just a drop in the ocean.
That's right. It all matters. It And it's, people I think kind of get tired of hearing it, but it is the truth. And that's why I did invite you to come and see how that one bag of groceries makes a difference. And so we do have February 11th, that's a Tuesday at 11:30, a lunch and learn event at Crowley House of Hope. If you're interested in seeing our facilities and hearing a little bit more about our work, we'd invite you to join that. It's truly an hour, 11:30 to 12:30, a light lunch on us and a quick, brief presentation, and you'll be on your way, but you'll walk away knowing just how your involvement in an organization like Crowley House of Hope can make a difference.
The 11th is what day? Is it Tuesday?
That's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay. Well, let's segue into something how I may be able to promote that. I've kind of been referring to the radio station all this time, and like I said before, I've been talking about it for a little while now on the show. But I said before it was going to be next Monday before I'm up and running. I'm up and running now because the guys at Live 365 and young Mr. Taylor here got it all put together in a hurry. So, Taylor, do we have that nonprofit commercial? And let's let it roll. It's the first time I've seen it too.
Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm Brad Allard of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Many of you know me from the podcast that you have appeared on in the past. I really do enjoy helping out the nonprofits in this community because y'all do great work. But I'm here to talk about today Community Radio TX. Community Radio is an online radio station currently on Live 365, TuneIn, and Odyssey. I'd like to help support your mission. There is no charge for you to put your news on my radio station. Just contact me and I will put it on a rotating basis. If you have your own audio and it is compatible with our technology, we'll put it on for you. So contact me at bradallard3, that's the numeral 3, bradallard3@gmail.com or at 817-944-2872. Again, this is no charge to y'all. This is something I'd like to do to help y'all with your community efforts. So contact me if you're interested in having some time on Community Radio. Thank you, and God bless you for what you're doing. That boy needs a podcast, don't you think?
I think so.
Is that a bad commercial for done it on the fly?
No, it's
good job, Taylor, because he edited out the ums and the ahs and the what, whatnot. But it's hopefully it'll be something y'all take advantage of.
Absolutely.
If people want to ask how is this going to work, if y'all have your own audio, some people do, and also you can make your own. Honestly, there's a programming download. It's a free program called Audacity. And my wife used it at Centennial when she was doing the oral exams or she had to read the test into the system. Okay. And I use it to make commercials, and it automatically puts it in the right format. So if you downloaded the Audacity rather, it's called, get those two confused. The Audacity program, it didn't cost you money and it's easy to do, and you can edit it and all this other stuff. So that's one way to do it. Or if you just say, here's the information, I can do it just as easy. But I hope y'all take advantage of that.
I'll plan on it.
Okay. Just send me the stuff, one way or the other. Yeah. I think email does the best. I mean, but I could get it to text.
Sure.
From a text. If it's a YouTube, I can transfer it. As far as Facebook, there are methods of taking Facebook and transferring it to the technology, but there's more steps involved. And the software used for the YouTubes is free, but the other stuff, Facebook, I don't know. And also the sound quality of Facebook varies quite a bit.
Okay.
Unless they're using, a more professional way of putting them on there. But anyway, I can do it. But just YouTube or any other audio format that puts it in MP3, that's the technology we use. Yeah. And I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. Taylor's like laughing at me all the time. Yeah, see?
So I could simply email you information about the Lunch and Learn, and you'll put it out there.
Well, in 5 minutes, in fact, I don't know if anybody's going to run to it, but in 5 minutes, I have a 5-minute segment on this kind of thing. I made it yesterday afternoon. It's going to be on an 8, 12, and 4 every day this week. And it's all, what I did is I got information off the Burleson Library page, off the Burleson Police page, EMTs, and a couple of brief announcements about news. Everybody's aware about that high wire rescue, right? And I mentioned that and whatnot, and also, it's about 5 minutes. And also, I mentioned the Girl Scout cookies because they asked me to do that too, and they're going to be at Kroger tomorrow night from 5 to 8.
Oh dear!
And I have
dangerous.
I have a very serious Thin Mint addiction. I mean, I need to go to Thin Mints Anonymous or something like that. But But no, I just got on there and read for about 5 minutes. And I said, here's what the library's doing this week. Here's what is going on in Parks and Rec in about 2 weeks and things like that. So you can just send it to
That's
me
great.
and I'll put it on and say, hey, by the way, Crowley House of Hope has their Lunch and Learn and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, and I'm going to be sending the nonprofits an email later today with that ad attached to it. So if you see it, it's not spam, guys. Well, you never know.
Yeah, you got to be careful
know.
clicking those
So,
links.
all right. Anyway, so well, God bless you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Tomorrow we get to heckle and pester Victoria Johnson. You know what the big deal is in Burleson these days? Trash pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard about that?
I have.
Yeah, Victoria certainly has. You know, there's all this about that, and there's all this discussion about, you know, trying to make 174 more drivable, as if they can do much about that
Yeah,
being
I
a state highway, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, you bring your questions, you know, and be nice. I mean, Victoria, poor girl, having to deal with this. It's tough running a city.
I'm sure.
But
Oh, gosh, yeah.
you know, I asked her a year retired, said, no, that's what I signed up for. So anyway, thank y'all for what y'all do. Thank you, Taylor.
you.
And we'll see y'all tomorrow at 11.